Really fun to see Jameis Winston in his element, man. He's so funny. How could you not like him as a teammate? The guy prepares hard. Um, he's just a bundle of joy to have in that locker room.
Before the game, when he was being interviewed by Kaylee Hartung, he was so locked in. And he's got these words that just come out of his mouth that have that passion oozing from them. Ignore the words themselves, just the delivery. And he wasn't even really answering her questions, but he was so focused and so excited and embracing the moment. And that's the thing, when you've been a starter and you were, at one point, second season, he was emerging as an MVP candidate. I remember the Buccaneers were moving on the right track. They had a Sunday night game against the Cowboys that didn't go their way, and that kind of popped the balloon. Then it fell out of favor for him in Tampa, and he's a backup, and where is he really going to be? I feel like he recognizes how fleeting these moments are. So he now, at this point, after everything he's been through, 10 years in, he is going to live every moment, love every moment, and embrace everything about having the opportunity to play in a football game.
Yeah, and that's what it's about, Mike, as a veteran quarterback, especially a guy that's been through the ups and downs that he's been through throughout his career. He's just embracing every moment. And in this league, you never know how long you're going to be a starter. You never know if you're going to ever start again and what your future is. So he's taking advantage of the opportunities. And you don't have to be a starting quarterback making $50 million a year to be considered a leader in that locker room. And he's definitely one of those.
Oh, and it is amazing to see. And the Browns 2-8, nothing to really play for. We were talking yesterday about how they have 4 primetime games coming up over the next 6 weeks, and the week
Mike,
16.
Mike,
Go ahead. Yes.
I hate when people say they have nothing to play for. I'm telling you, it is the most frustrating thing when you're on a losing team and people sit back and say, hey, you don't have anything to play for. You have a lot to play for, because a lot of those general managers, those coaches, everybody's looking at how you're going to continue to perform when you're going through adversity. Anybody can perform when you're winning and everything's good, but that's what I take a look at. Who's still playing hard? Who are going to be my foundational pieces? Who are some of the guys that's giving up or trying to find an easy way out? And that's what you look when you're playing for, when you're playing for a losing team. And I just didn't see that from the Browns. Early on, they struggled, as most, average teams or below average teams do. But how hard they fought and the way they played, and not being intimidated by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike, on the flip side, they came in, thought that they were the Pittsburgh Steelers. They could just show up, and they thought they were going to win a football game. And the Browns came out, and they totally changed that.
The Browns have beaten both the Ravens and the Steelers at home in recent weeks after the shift from Jameis Winston that only happened after Deshaun Watson was lost for the season with a torn Achilles. I can't help but wonder how competitive the Browns might have been if they'd pivoted from Watson to Winston earlier, when everyone outside the building was saying you need to bench Deshaun Watson, statistically the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. The Browns can't win. The Browns just feel sluggish and off, and they can't get anything going, and they can't take advantage of their great defense because their offense can't do anything. Since Winston's been in there, it hasn't been perfect, but there's at least been enough to make me think instead of 3-8, they'd be closer to 5-6, 6-5, in position to make a run if they'd made that change earlier. Do you agree?
I agree 100%. And this is why I've been one of the main people saying, how do you even allow Deshaun Watson to come in and play? He's got so much going on as a young man. I couldn't, as a 50-year-old man, deal with this type of stuff that he's dealing with and still go to work and maintain a level of focus. So I've always said I felt like the Browns should have sent him home, allow him to take care of his business, pay him his money so he won't be a distraction to the locker room. The most important thing that you're trying to protect, Mike, is the locker room. It's not about protecting Deshaun Watson. It's about protecting the locker room. And, when you have him, he's there, he's dealing with so many different things. He looks distracted. That affects guys in the locker room. And you just can't have that cohesion that you need moving forward. And that's the biggest issue. if I'm the Browns if I'm the Browns, I'm moving on from this guy. I'm going to pay him the rest of his money, whatever I owe. I'm going to send him home. If somebody wants to work out a trade, I'll be open and willing to do something like that next year. But at the end of the day, I will not have this guy in my locker room. He's too much of a distraction, and he's still dealing with so many issues off the field, Mike.
At this point, all you can really do is eat the $92 million. Nobody's going to trade for him. Maybe if you pay the vast majority of it, even then, who's going to want Deshaun Watson? And look at the personality difference. And Deshaun's been through a lot, arguably self-imposed. None of the cases against him ever went to trial. Nothing's been proven in a court of law, but he's had over 20 cases, settlements. There was one that was filed right after week 1 this year that eventually was resolved while the NFL was investigating. At last word, the NFL was still investigating. We don't know where that's going to go because the settlement will likely keep the accuser from cooperating with the league. But his demeanor versus Jameis. And if you're on a football team, I mean, put yourself as a safety, number 37, Cleveland Browns. You got Jameis Winston. And you know he's kind of nuts, but that's okay. Jim Harbaugh's kind of nuts, and it works. Jameis Winston's kind of nuts, and it works. It gets you ready to go out and give your all and do the absolute best you can to try to win the game.
Absolutely, because you know the guy, you've seen the guy all week. You've seen him prepare. You've seen him emotionally. You joke with him in the locker room, on the practice field. You guys competing out there, talking trash. That's what you want to see, as opposed to a guy walking around. He's quiet. He's to himself. He's trying to figure out some things. He's always constantly on the phone, talking to maybe his attorneys and things like that. You could tell the difference between the two guys. And Jameis Winston, once you've been a starter in this league and now they take that away from you, you embrace every single opportunity that you get, especially as a backup quarterback making a lot of money, because you never know when your next opportunity comes. But yeah, I'm really happy for Jameis and just the leadership and the growth and the maturity that he's shown. And if I'm the Browns moving forward, this is a guy that I keep in my locker room. This is a guy that I say, I don't know what's going to happen next year with my quarterback situation, but I do know I have a guy that is engaged, a guy that the guys in the locker room like, and a guy that I know I can trust because he's a veteran.
He's a grown man with childlike wonder, and we all remember, those of us who have been fortunate enough to play football in the snow, whether with helmets and pads on or with your buddies down in the sand lot, when you play football in the snow for the first time, it is awesome. Every time you get to play in the snow, it's awesome. When you get to watch a game in the snow, it's awesome. The only thing that isn't awesome is being stuck out in it. But even then, it's so rare and it's so special to be in that environment. Nobody left last night. Nobody was bailing out on that game. Even after the Browns blew the lead and it felt like it was going to be a loss for Cleveland, nobody gave up, because those moments are too few and far between. To enjoy a game like that, to watch it, to live it, to experience it, to eat a little bit of the snow off your beard like Mike Tomlin did. And that's the attitude that Jameis Winston had, and I think that just made it even more special when the snow finally started to come down so hard. It's stuck on everything, and it's like, yes, this is great. And I don't know how different it would have been if Deshaun Watson was the quarterback last night, and I don't care. It was special last night because, in part, of Jameis's involvement.
I think Jameis understands this, certainly understands our football team. It's very easy to understand this rivalry, how important these AFC North games, this one because of the proximity of the two cities, we know how important it is. But he knew what a challenge it is when you're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a good team for a reason. They're good on all three sides of the ball. We were going to have to be at our best to get a win.
We have to stack it one day at a time. Today, yes, we're going to celebrate, man. I'm grateful that fans came out and showed out, but we got to see this team in 2 weeks. We have the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football, another primetime game, and they're playing good. My Alabama boy, Bo Nix, he's showing out. He's playing, But at the same time, man, we're going to celebrate today. We have to focus on being where our feet are, and right now we're going to celebrate this win. We still got some things that we got to clean up. I still got some things I got to clean up. So we're still focusing on building on the positives and eliminating the negatives.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike.
Yes.
Let me tell you, man, and let me tell you, that's leadership. You say what you want about Jameis Winston, but as a player, if you're looking at that interview, you're saying, like, I'm a former player. I'm 51 years old, and I got goosebumps because I'm just so excited to hear that level of intensity, the level of focus, and the message was completely 100% correct. Hey, we got to play these guys in a couple of weeks. We're going to enjoy right now. We're going to enjoy where our feet are at, but at the end of the day, we got to continue to take steps. And that's why coaches love veteran players like him, because he's been through it. He's been through the growing process. He's been through the ups and downs. And now he's just steady Eddie because he's gone through those experiences. I love what I'm seeing from Jameis Winston. And the more I see him, the more I hear from him, the more excited I get about him.
And it's an excellent point. And it's one of the reasons why when you're evaluating your quarterback options, you need to factor that in. Even before Deshaun Watson had the off-field stuff that I think made him kind of in his own little cocoon, his personality got drained. He really wasn't like Jameis Winston. He wasn't bubbly and energetic and an open leader like that. Not a lot of quarterbacks have that, but when you have a guy that's got the natural charisma, he can inspire a team, and he's got the skills to go along with it, that extra bit, that intangible factor is what can help make a difference. And the Browns may have something here. And again, is it enough to win a Super Bowl? I don't know, but it's enough to make you competitive, and I think they would be far closer to playoff contention in the AFC right now if they've been playing Winston more of the year. This game next Monday night in Denver, and maybe it'll snow in Denver too. Maybe we'll get another snow game because in Denver this time of year, they go from 70 degrees to 6 feet of snow. That would be for possibly the 7th seed in the AFC. And who knows? Crazier things have happened. Maybe the Browns can stack some wins. But we are going to see a lot of the Browns in the coming weeks, and we're going to see them outdoors, and maybe we'll get more snow.
And the players, listen, the players know some of the limitations that Jameis Winston has. But when you go out there and he's playing hard and he's playing intense and he's pumping guys up, they understand the limitations, but they're going to continue to play hard. You talk about Jerry Jeudy and his impact the last month of the season. A guy that I really feel bad for is Myles Garrett. I mean, you think about Myles Garrett, he's not on a contender. This is a guy that's been on a losing team. I would have loved to see them trade him, maybe get a second round pick, maybe a second and a third round pick, and really just continue to give him an opportunity to make the playoffs and be on a better team. I hate to see great players like him because I feel like his greatness is getting washed and swept up under the rug. I mean, 5 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. I mean, he's all over the field. And you can't tell me 4 or 5 teams that are trying to be contenders wouldn't love a guy like him, Myles Garrett.
Oh, and he addressed recently after Zadarius Smith got his ticket out of Cleveland to go to the Detroit Lions how it's great to see him smiling ear to ear when he's on the sideline. That first game, the Sunday night game in Houston when Zadarius Smith didn't play, and he's getting his chance to go play for a contender. Myles Garrett, he's never complained. There's never been any hint. There's never been any leak that Garrett wants out. He's there. He's there for the long haul, and hopefully the Browns can be more like they were last year moving forward, not like they've been for most of this year. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.